What's going on, YouTube? Ferocity? I hope you guys are doing well. Since the hype for XDefiant began, many within the community have speculated whether or not it has the opportunity to dethrone Call of Duty. And while I believe that the opportunity is there, I think Call of Duty is extremely vulnerable, I don't know if the potential for XDefiant is truly there. Yes, it has the opportunity to reach a lot of people because it has no barrier to entry. However, it's a niche game. It delivers a niche experience. You have to want to play a 6v6 arena type shooter to want to play it, versus Call of Duty that has mass appeal. Sure, it has multiplayer, but it also has zombies, it also has campaign, it also has Warzone, and has a much larger offering. So no, I don't personally think Call of Duty will be taken out by XDefiant. Instead, what I hope occurs is that XDefiant helps get Call of Duty to be better. And in turn, causes XDefiant to be better, which in turn causes Battlefield to be better, causes Rainbow Six Siege to be better, causes CSGO 2 and all the other games within this space to be better. Because competition is a good thing. And when you have people innovating and creating passion projects and leading something that has a purpose, it creates a better landscape for everybody. And honestly, the ones that will win out of this is you and me, the consumer, who wouldn't want a better game, who wouldn't want a game that is led by passion and innovation over games that are led by complacency and mediocrity. Because that's sort of where we're at. And the reason why I love XDefiant so much, why I fell in love with it so much beyond just its very exciting and fun gameplay, is you can tell the developers behind it are passionate and they want to create something that is special for the player. Do something a little different than what is happening right now. And that's so nice to see. It's this breath of fresh air. It's something familiar, but at the same time different. That's what I liked about it. And the problem right now that I'm seeing with Call of Duty is they're fine just kind of going through the motions, sticking to their high revenues by churning out low quality skins every few days and just trying to pump the game with a bunch of content while ignoring the core issues that are plaguing their game. And it passes by for a lot of people. A lot of people stay loyal to the game. They're not going to move away, and that's fine. It works for them. But when you have a true competitor enter the space and they bring their A game, something that I feel Battlefield has failed so many times in recent memory to actually do, it causes you to be better. It causes you to not overlook some of those shortcomings that you have. Maybe you have to make changes to the spawns. Maybe you have to make a better anti-cheat system. Overall, it's forcing you to create a better game, and I think that's a good thing. With that being said, let me be a little speculative here. Now, of course, I don't know if any of this is true, but this is what I personally believe. That XDefiant has caused Call of Duty to ramp things up a little bit. Actually try to strive for a little bit more for their player base. Think back to the last two Call of Duty games. Think about how much post-launch content there truly was. MW2 was a barren wasteland for, 3/4 of the year. Vanguard didn't really add anything of significance either. But then you look at MW3, a game that released after XDefiant's hype, after its really successful beta, and the subsequent player server test session. And you have to think to yourself, maybe this got Call of Duty a little bit worried. And they said, well, we know players are going to migrate over there. We know that we're going to have to share the player base now with a game that people are excited about. So let's just ramp it up in this game. Let's show them that Call of Duty can step up to the plate. Let's show them that we have the ability to produce more content than we ever have before, bring in more events than we ever have before, try to create more player engagement than we ever have before. And on top of that, let's twist the marketing to really promote player retention. Let's make sure that is our focus this year, is that we are trying to get as much player retention as possible. And I'll argue, it's really worked. More players are staying on longer. At least that's what their data tells them. Whether or not you want to believe them is up to you. You know my opinions on that. But in addition to that, they have added more content than we've ever seen. They have had more in-game events than we've ever seen before. And that's all a bonus to you, the player. That's what you get when you have real competition enter the space. Now imagine XDefiant launches, it hits the ground running, is extremely successful. Now Call of Duty has to do something to combat that, so they don't bleed players, so they don't lose players to this game. Which they are going to. I mean, anytime there's a fresh, shiny new object, people will jump to it. But it's all about how do you create that balance. And that's what Call of Duty is going to have to figure out once XDefiant releases. Because they've basically owned this space for the last several years. I mean, Battlefield hasn't released anything noteworthy in quite some time. And frankly, Rainbow Six Siege, very niche game. CSGO 2, just located on the PC, that's about it. And frankly, when it comes to console shooters, it's Call of Duty. And of course, yeah, you have the Battle Royale competition, but at the end of the day, Call of Duty still holds such a high value name that people will play it regardless of its quality. And I don't really think that Call of Duty's too concerned about what they're doing on the Warzone side. They know they've got their player base, they've got their little niche there, and they're fine with that. It's about cornering this 6v6 market, this multiplayer market, and really trying to extract as much as they can out of them. But now you've got this new competitor entering in, a new competitor with a ton of hype, with a ton of positive PR, with a ton of community backing, and you've got to compete head on with them. That's a tall task. And I'm very curious to see how Call of Duty navigates that. I'm very curious to see what we have coming up for us with Golf War, because that's going to be the game that's going toe-to-toe with XDefiant when it's actually live. Because as Mark Rubin states, the launch is coming very soon. We're going to have this game very soon. And as much as Call of Duty wants to try to maybe keep some players during their Season 4, Season 5, and Season 6, it's a lot harder when a game is that old and you've got something brand new with no barrier to entry. So the goal is then, how do you get those players back for Golf War? Which means you're going to have this teeter-totter effect where you're going to have players flocking to XDefiant, then flocking to Call of Duty, then back to XDefiant, back to Call of Duty. And I think that's healthy. Instead of you being focused on one game, you're focused on a couple. And it could actually create a very healthy landscape and a very healthy space for a community that has been kind of taken advantage of and neglected at the same time. And it's very disappointing to see, because this space used to be extremely healthy. It used to be extremely competitive. And Call of Duty has been the mainstay here, where other franchises have kind of faltered along the way, Battlefield and Halo to name a few. But if XDefiant can really step up to the plate, no, they're not going to dethrone Call of Duty, but they can be enough of a thorn in their side to really cause them to change their tune and to make their games a little bit better for you and me. And that's who wins. And that's the goal of competition, is the consumer should be the one winning here. It's not about the companies winning. It's not about the developers winning. It's about the players. And that's who you should care about more than anyone else. Are you having fun playing the game? If the answer is yes, imagine what some competition can do. The games will only enhance in quality and in fun, and that should be all that matters. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Do you think that XDefiant has a chance to dethrone Call of Duty and swipe that mantle? Or are you more like me and think that XDefiant can just live alongside Call of Duty, being a little bit of a thorn that continues to prick them every once in a while to say, hey, do a little better. We're stealing a few players. Do a little better. I think at the end of the day, whatever happens, it should equate to a positive for this community. Of course, as long as XDefiant is good. But I'll leave you with that today, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, can you please hit that like button? If you want to see more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.